My name is Royce, and I care for my wife, Laura.
How long have you been caring for this family member?
12 years
Tell us, please, about your average day as a caregiver.
now. Quite boring for the most part. I mean, she spends 16, 17 hours a day in bed, and I tend to her. She gets up, she's capable, she's not dying or anything like that, but she's got a lot of problems and has since the day I met her 34 years ago. Um, she'll get up probably on around noon. She'll get up, come out for a little while, hang out, have a cup of coffee, and within 45 minutes to an hour, she's back in bed. She's tired or she's nauseous or something's wrong with her blood pressure or and she'll sleep most of the day. She'll wake up, watch some TV with me in the evening, have some dinner. If we have to during the days, if we have appointments, I get her up. She'll sleep in the car on the way. We live out in the farm, so everywhere we go is an hour and a half. Uh, and that's essentially it. We don't get a lot of time together, even though we're together 24/7.
What do you want to see change for caregivers?
Uh, Shoot, lack of accessibility to a lot of different things. I mean, I spend 24/7 here at the house because my wife suffers from heart conditions, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, extremely high hospitalization surgeries. Um, got in an accident 13 years ago, and she got some head injury that she ended up getting epilepsy from it. So, she has seizures. She's not allowed to drive. Um, Transportation issues, just the ability to have somebody be able to come pick her up, take her to an appointment, stay with her, and bring her back just cut me, a break or some slack. I never get out anymore. Uh, Somebody's got to be there 24/7, and really needs to be somebody that knows what they're doing when it comes to heart issues and the epilepsy we had. So is that it's not. I just got to the point I wasn't able to leave the house. I couldn't trust that I wasn't going to come home and find her in the hospital. Um, I've been taking care of her 12 years. I know all her problems. I'm able to assess her before I need to call any paramedics or fire engines. And that gets pretty costly out here in the county island every time they show up, whether they transport her to the hospital or not. It's a big bill just for the fire department and the sheriff to show up and you call the ambulance. So it's better for us. We're on two fixed incomes. Um, just any ability of help of getting them around or make it a little easier. People come to the house to sit with her.
Um, Last question, what message would you like to pass on or share with the fellow caregivers?
Just stay true. Keep yourself and take care of the one that you love, whether it's a child, your parents, or even your spouse. These are people that you love dearly, and you want to keep them around as long as you can. So, best way to do that is just take care of yourself and do the best you can, everything you can.
Uh, well, my name is Henry Trejo. And before we go on, the reason I want to give my story is because my wife passed away finally. So, but yeah, I was a caregiver for more or less like 8 years, and the last 2 or 3 years was where I had to make changes to my life.
What were her diagnosis, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, she had all those. She had kidney disease, high cholesterol, with arterial disease, and minor heart disease, and she was a kidney patient. But we both got the COVID, and the COVID, I guess there was a final straw for her. She started having problems, and it was with all her conditions, and then the COVID. It was too much for her. She had a heart attack, and she passed away.
What was a typical day and as being your wife's caregiver?
Okay, in the morning we'd get up, and then help her get washed up, brush her teeth, and then help her get her clothes, help her get dressed. And then she was wheelchair bound at that time. And I'd take her in and make breakfast for her. And then I couldn't leave the house because my kids work and one's on disability. And my oldest daughter is out of state, the one that was more helpful to us. So I had to do most of the stuff myself. Once in a while, my son would stop by and help me with something, errands or something. But most of the day I was by myself, and I'd take her to doctor's visits. She was an amputee, so I'd have to transport her from the chair to the couch and the chair to the car and so forth. And the doctor's office, it was a real hassle, because of their condition, her situation. And then at night, well, I gave her medications early in the morning and late at night. And that's one of the critical things about being a caregiver, is making sure you keep track of her medications. And then at night, well, we go to bed, and then I would be getting up about 3 or 4 times at night for her for some reason or other. So I guess for about 6 months, I didn't get much sleep at night. And I gave up everything I used to do. I used to play senior softball. I'd go to the senior gym. I couldn't do that. I'd go to the park and walk. Wouldn't do that. So everything I did, I gave up. I had to give everything up.
What would you like to see changed for Arizona family caregivers in terms of services or accessibility? What are some things that you see and that you experienced yourself as a caregiver that you want to see changed?
Well, it would be nice if there was some way that they would have some home health, somebody come and show them how to do things like bathing and dressing. And every household is different, and the situation in the house is different. Some are smaller, some are bigger, and they got to be given advice on how to do it. I learned a lot because I was at the nursing homes a lot, in the hospitals, and I learned from them. I learned how to change bandages and did wound care on my own and all stuff like that with her, because she had a couple of wounds. And the nurses taught me that, but they only come in twice a week. But there's I think if I would have had somebody like at least respite, and somebody come in and help me and teach me and show me how to do things, it would have been easier for me.
So my last question for you, Henry, is what message do you want to send caregivers who are maybe?
Well, enjoy every minute you can with them. Just keep positive. It's so hard that some people can't really deal with them. You need support. If you have a brother, a sister, a mother, or a son, or a daughter, somebody in a family, or even a very close friend, try to contact with them, and make somebody your support group. Somebody can be with you once in a while and talk. Somebody that can go with you to the doctor and help you out. And it'd be nice if it's just somebody else would understand the situation beside you, so they can help.
My name's Betty, and I care for my mother.
And how long have you been caring for your mom?
I became a caregiver for my mom when my dad passed away in August of 2017, and we realized that mom was really struggling with her memory. We did not have a diagnosis at that time, but we since have had her diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease.
Tell us a little bit about your average day as a caregiver.
Well, at this point, since July of 2021, mom has been in memory care as her primary daughter caregiver, I take care of all of her finances and I get her to and from all of her medical appointments. So that may be one or two in a month, or sometimes it's nothing, but lately she's had a number of appointments. So I have to make sure that I let the med techs at her facility know that she has a doctor's appointment. I also call her in the morning so I can tell her that she has a doctor's appointment. Usually she still doesn't remember by the time I'm there to pick her up, but I like to give her as much information as possible, even if she doesn't remember it. So trying to remind her that she has activities that she can do all day at her facility, and that she just has to ask someone so she doesn't sit in her room and complain about being bored. That's my main concern. And then I have another sister who is the social sister, and she takes mom to her house on Tuesdays for movie night and makes sure that mom gets to church on Sunday.
What do you want to see changed for caregivers?
More appreciation. I think caregivers are really unappreciated. Family caregivers, that's a tough row. And when between the time when mom went into the facility and the time that she was living in her own home, there were lots of worries, and both of my sister and I spent a lot of time making sure that she was okay. She wasn't living by herself. There was a relative living there with her, but she was by herself during the day when that relative was working. And as her memory and capacity declined, there was more and more concern, especially during COVID, because the isolation was very debilitating for her. And I noticed a big change in her mental capacity. So that was the hard part, was figuring out how to involve her in some kind of activity where she could go and have that social interaction during the day, and then come home in the evening and just do her normal thing.
If you had to pass on message to fellow caregivers, what would you say?
Look for help. Call the Area Agency on Aging, the Caregivers Coalition, dial 211 or go to 211 on your computer. There is help out there. We have some good services in Arizona, and you shouldn't have to carry this on your own, because there are lots of different ways that you can get help in taking care of your loved one. So please don't delay. Get the help that you need to make a difference in the life of your loved one, as well as your own life. And do your self-care. You've got to take care of yourself, because without that, you can't take care of anyone else.